Have you ever noticed how we sometimes start snapping to our loved ones or friends for no apparent reason? Or how we procrastinate on important tasks? Or just mentally disconnecting from the present moment? It's not us, it's our brain being hijacked. Hello everyone, I am Dr. Shambhu Yadav, a neuroscientist and a stress biologist from Harvard Medical School. And welcome back to the Diary of a Scientist. Today we are going to explore how stress changes the way we behave. We will also look at the practical and science-based tools you can use it to control your mind and control your action. So, let's start with asking questions. What is stress? Most of people use the word casually, like it's just a feeling overwhelmed. But that's not the full picture. Stress isn't just a mood, it's a biological response. Your brain and body reacting to the unpredictability. And most of the time, your brain is busy predicting what is going to happen to next. It uses past experiences to guess what's coming. And stress happens when those predictions go wrong. You expecting things to go smoothly, but instead chaos show up. And this isn't the philosophy, it's a hardwire into your brain, into your biology. Your hypothalamus is like a tiny control center in your brain. When it senses the stress or danger, it sends out a signal. And this because a hormone that is called ACTH, which tells your adrenal gland to release the cortisol, the main stress hormone. Once the cortisol levels rises, your brain starts to change. You are not just feeling stressed. Your brain is actually shifting into the survival mode. And this cortisol spikes affects two important brain chemicals, dopamine and glutamine, especially in the prefrontal cortex, which is the part of your brain that help you think clearly and that also help you plan ahead and stay focused. And when this area gets disrupted, you stop making thoughtful decisions. And instead of carefully choosing your action, you start reacting automatically without much thinking. We scientists call this a switch from model-based, that is a goal-driven behavior, to model-free, which is habit-driven behavior. In simple terms, you are no longer planning. You are just trying to cope. But my friend, all stress are not bad. A little pressure can actually help you to focus, like a deadline that pushes you to finish a project. But when too many unpredictable things happen at once, like a flood of emails, a sick child, or getting stuck in traffic, the brain starts to struggle. It reaches its limit, and that's when you notice changes in the behavior. And that behavior may be like snapping at others, forgetting things, or zoning out. Scientists say that when life feels too unpredictable for too long, it overloads the brain's ability to keep up. And that's when problems begin. So what is the solution? We need to train our brain to stay flexible, to adapt, and stay calm under pressure. So let's explore how we can do that. Have you ever felt like a different person when you are under stress? The one moment you are calm, and the next you are snapping or avoiding everything. You are not losing control. Your brain is like just reacting to stress. So here is what happens. Stress makes your thinking brain, which is the prefrontal cortex, slow down. At the same time, your emotional brain, that is amygdala, takes over. And this shift happens because stress releases a hormone called cortisol. And the too much the cortisol weakens your brain ability to think clearly and make good decisions. So instead of responding calmly, you react on impulsive. Think about a time when you had too much going on, work, meeting, and the maybe an argument with your friend, your brain start to feel overloaded. And that's because your working memory, which help you hold and manage idea, can only handle so much at once. And when you are stressed, your brain releases a chemical called norepinephrine. This sharpens your focus but also narrow it. It's like your attention turned into the tight spotlight. You start to fixate on one problem and ignore everything else. Have you ever sent a rude email or said something you regret when you were under pressure? That happened because the part of your brain that controls decision making, which is the prefrontal cortex, get overwhelmed. When that happens, your emotional brain take over and react without thinking. A study shows that the stress shut down the brain network that help you reflect and think deeply. That is called default mode network, DMN. At the same time, it activates the another network, the silent network, that makes you more reactive and stuck fight or flight mode. So how we can deal with that? The good news is we can train our brain to stay in control. The one way with the brain exercises like the dual and back game, it helps your brain practice handling more than one thing at a time, which strengthens the part that help you stay focused and calm. Think of it like a workout for your brain. Another simple method is cold exposure, like taking a cold shower for just 90 seconds. Studies show it helps calm the emotional part of your brain, which is amygdala, so your thinking brain can take charge again. And there is also a new technique called the theta burst stimulation. It uses magnet to gently stimulate your brain and maybe help with the focus and control, but it's still being studied and not easy to accept it. Then the main idea, you can train your brain to stay calm and focused even when life gets stressful. Stress feels strongest at school or work. A task that should take 5 minutes suddenly feels like climbing a huge mountain. This isn't your fault. It's so how your brain reacts to the stress. Your brain can only handle a limited amount of the information at once. Stress added extra mental cluster that makes it harder to think clearly. The stress hormone cortisol affects a part of your brain that helps you decide if a task is worth effort. Because of this, everything feels much harder than it really is. So you may delay doing the task or stop trying altogether. This is not just about the weak willpower. It's about low dopamine. Dopamine, which is the molecule of more, or you also can say is a chemical in your brain that makes you feel rewarded. When it gets low, even the small achievement don't feel good, like you enjoy before. Studies show that this makes you avoid hard tasks like writing a report or studying. And stress also harms your hippocampus, the part of your brain that helps with the memory and the planning. And because of this, it becomes harder to plan ahead. The more than 40% of workers say their decision making gets worse when they are under stress at work. And that means many people's brains are struggling because of the stress. So, what can you do? Change how you work to reduce mental overload. Break big tasks into the small part. For example, write one paragraph instead of whole essay at once. Use tools like a checklist or the app to help you remember the things. And then neurofeedback, which is another technique where you train your brain waves using the special equipment, and it can help improve focus when you feel under stress or you are stressed. Neurofeedback, which is another technique where you train your brain waves using the special equipment, and it can help improve focus when you feel stressed. And also quizzing yourself on what you have learned, that also help you remember better than you feel stuck. These methods are not just quick tips, they are supported by the science to help your brain work better. So, what happens when stress never stops? When it lasts for the months or even the years, the effects are much worse than just a bad week. The chronic stress changes your brain deeply. It harms your motivation. And studies show that the long-term stress hormone, which is the cortisol, exposure can changes your genes and make you feel helpless. This can make you feel numb or uninterested, even things you usually enjoy. So the part of your brain that handle reward called the nucleus accumbens loses dopamine receptor. So things that used to make you happy don't feel as good anymore. Your orbitofrontal cortex helps you adjust to the new situation, but stress can make it less sensitive. When that happens, you stop being flexible and rely more on the habits, even the bad ones. So stress also affects chemicals like oxytocin, which is the love hormone, and vasopressin, which help with the bonding and trust. And because of this, you might start pulling away from the other or become easily irritated. And over time, you may feel like you are not yourself anymore. Instead of making the choices, you just react automatically like an autopilot. But my friend, you can change how your brain works. Exercise helps, especially high intensity interval training, that is HIIT. So HIIT increases a protein called the BDNF that help your brain grow and repair. And the regular cardio also help, but the HIIT is the stronger one. Eating omega-3 fatty acids, especially ones in rich EPA, support brain healing as well. And then the therapy like acceptance and the commitment therapy can help you connect with what matters most to you and get out of the feeling stuck. So the best time to make these changes is right after stress goes down. Use that time to build a new habit, like a journaling or the setting a small goal. Now let's talk about the emotional crisis, those times when life feels really overwhelming. When you go through the trauma or the strong stress, your brain can react by shutting down or by making you less out. Your brain is trying to keep you safe, but sometimes it doesn't help. Research shows that the trauma can disturb the connection between the part of your brain that handle memory and body signals. And that's why you might feel numb or do things that seems confusing later. And then your brain also learns to be afraid of many things because of one bad experience, which can make everything seem scary. Have you ever had the trouble naming your feelings after a stressful event? That's called alexithymia. It means the finding it hard to understand and describe your emotion. And this happens because a part of your brain called the insula is less active. And sometimes this can make your behavior changes a lot, like the feeling very angry, shutting down, or becoming very religious. And this happens because another part of your brain, the temporal lobe, isn't working quite right. So my friend, remember this. It's not your fault. It's your brain trying to protect you. So how can we feel better now? One way is somatic anchoring, paying attention to your body sensation like your breathing or your feet on the ground. This can help you feel more present. There are also therapy like the EMDR. This uses the guide eye movement to help your brain heal from the trauma and calm fear. Even the simple trick like the telling yourself, this moment will pass, can stop a scary or overwhelming thought. So enough theory, let's get to the real solution that work. Forget the usual just breathe advice. We will go deeper. Your vagus nerve that control your body relaxation response. And when your heart rate varies more naturally, it means your brain and the body can adapt better to stress. You can train this by doing breath work. Breath hold. Take a quick exhale and hold your breath briefly. So the new studies show that even the holding your breath for 20 seconds can help calm your nervous system. And the next, eat food rich in important nutrients. Tryptophan found in the chicken, eggs, milk and cheese. This helps increase the serotonin level, which improve your mood. And then the magnesium, which help make GABA in the brain, that can reduce anxiety. Now let's talk about the cognitive interleaving. This means mixing different tasks instead of focusing on one task, just one task. This helps your brain stay sharp when things get stressful. And if you want to try something advanced, do the network switching drill. This drill helps you practice moving between focusing, thinking deeply, and planning. Doing things that causes a small control stress like a cold plunge can also make your brain stronger. The study shows that stress experience teach your brain to handle chaos better. Pick one of these techniques and try it out and watch how your behavior changes. So here is the trap that is most of us fall into. The way we cope with the stress can make it worse. You are stressed, so you check your phone for a quick dopamine hit, and it feels good for a second, but it fries your working memory capacity. Executive function like the decision making, attention, focus, and cognitive flexibility as well. Research shows these short-term rewards like the scrolling or snacking hijack your dopamine system, making long-term goals harder to chase. It's a vicious loop. Stress drives the bad habits, and those bad habits amplify the stress. And sometimes the way you cope isn't really your own idea. It's a habit you learn from the others. Like snapping at someone because you saw it happen when you were growing up. To change this, you need to notice it. Try keeping a journal. Write down what you do when you feel stressed and why. And then think about what you might do next time and make a plan to act differently. This is not just advice, it helps your brain change old habits. So how do we pull all together? Let's build a roadmap to reclaim your behavior from the stress. First, stabilize your autonomic state, your body baseline. Breath work or cold exposure can also reset your nervous system in a minute. And next, bring back executive control. Practice small, deliberate choices like picking one task and finishing it. And the third, reconnect with your identity. Ask what matters to me and align your action with that. And finally, design your environment to prevent the relapse. Keep your phone out of the reach during the deep work. Stress is not just something you feel, it actually changes how your brain works and how you can act. It can make you react quickly without thinking or feel bored for a long time. But you don't have to stay that way. Science shows you can train your brain to handle the stress better. You can do this with the mental exercise, body awareness, or changing your daily habits. Start with small steps, watch your progress, and take back control. Remember, stress doesn't define you. You have the power to change your story. Thanks for the watching and see you in the next episode.